I'm
We're
ready.
on YouTube, and what?
And I'm not ready.
Makeup with, well, can I reach in the bag, or does it makeup with Stephanie on?
Yeah,
or?
it's Makeup with Stephanie.
There we go.
On a Tuesday. Taco
Yes.
Tuesday. Go
On a
ahead.
Taco Tuesday on that, we'll see what. I'm just going to pick off the top one. First one I.
Ooh, I hate this one. But you always get it. This is the spark plug one. You love it.
Well, I think if there is anything to the premonition or the aliens or extra, or what am I trying to think of?
I don't know.
Not that. What would? That's probably got to be it with me. Is why
this
would
one is so freaking old though.
Why would I always pick spark plug?
I don't know. Because you grab the same crap every time.
Yes.
So I want to go over national days really quick. July 27th, yesterday, was Love is Kind Day. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's just way too many. The 28th today's the 28th, is National Milk Chocolate Day, Buffalo Soldiers Day, and National Water Park Day, which you can't go to because everything's closed. July 29th, my baby's birthday. That's obviously number one. And guess what?
What?
National Lipstick Day.
Oh, well, that was appropriate for Makeup with Stephanie.
Right?
It's National Lipstick Day every day on the IE Newswire if you tune into YouTube.
Exactly. July 30th is National Father-in-Law Day. Happy National Father-in-Law Day to all you father-in-laws out there. July 31st, this one threw me for a loop. Other than National Avocado Day, National Talk in an Elevator Day.
Who came up with that?
Someone that has no game or love life. Because why would you be talking in an elevator?
Yeah, so that, and boy, that's one thing I don't, I mean, one of the things I don't like, I do not like riding in elevators.
Oh, I thought you were going to say talking. I was going to say that's funny.
No, I don't, I mean, I could say that, but I don't
You don't like riding in an elevator?
No, I don't like confined.
Too claustrophobic?
Yes.
I get like that too, and then I'm paranoid that it's just like the cables are going to snap and you're going to go.
No, I'm more paranoid is the stupid thing's going to break down and you're going to be stuck in the stupid thing.
But if you get stuck on National Talking Elevator Day, you're now on a national day.
If the cables break or something, that's going to be a very short, fun ride and whatever.
Would you die?
Well, depends on how.
But what if right before it hits you jump?
You know,
No?
Or jump out of the elevator.
No, jump like up in the air. That way when it hits the bottom, like you're just in the air.
Okay.
That's what I would do. Y'all are going to be screwed. I'll be jumping. What's that?
I'm glad, yes.
Whoops. My bad. National Be Your Producer Day and your co-host. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Anyways, that was Makeup with Stephanie and National Days. National Talking Elevator Day. How's that? Oh. What happened?
There's that funky slide guitar music. It comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on IE Newswire on Facebook and YouTube.
Don't laugh
on that. And you gotta go on the YouTube and listen to those first 3 or 4 minute segments on that.
This one was good. You got to figure out what your national days are too. I mean, why not? It's good info. I like national days though. I mean, they're like totally off the
Science with Stephanie is another segment we're going to start on.
Oh, but you know what? I love science. We should do that.
Oh yeah,
that would be fun.
Oh yeah, you're a pretty perennial expert. Go on YouTube when it's done. Those of you who are not, go on YouTube and watch the first 5 minutes. And yeah, scientist Stephanie will explain physics to you on the deal. You're going to be. Maybe it's a good thing.
I feel like you're calling me stupid right now.
No, I said scientist Stephanie.
And I'm not picking up on
it. As usual, there's lots of of fun and frivolity going on.
Gotta hit somebody
on this day going on. One of the big things going on today, and we're going to cue up the first video of that. we've been talking a lot. You know, everybody has this whole what's it, day 61, 2 months of Portland. They've been burning down the federal buildings.
It's horrible.
The mayor and the city councils have backed the cops off. The cops have basically threw up their hands. They're doing
but
it
you know what they should, though? Let them just... They're already destroying it anyways.
Well, and
why put the police department at danger? Just let them go and kill each other and then bring them in.
We had Richard Ryder on Thursday, and you know the natural reaction mine was like Trump was, you know, put the federal troops in there, protect the buildings and stuff. And I mean,
they should, but at the same time, like, why?
And that's what Richard said. He said, let them burn it down to the ground.
And then make them go fix it. Make them pay for it.
What we said, and that was his deal, we'll rebuild them somewhere else. And I said, I'm okay with that. But let's say they take them out of Portland and they move them to, you know, out of Portland to rural, whatever, Grants Pass, Oregon or something out there where, you know, there's, you know, 3 prairie dogs, 2 deer, and 1 person. So Grants Pass, Oregon's going to get the new federal court building for Oregon, fine and dandy, but they are going to insure it and put up a performance bond on it. So if it burns again, and we say, okay, we're going to collect on the insurance, they're not going to be coming to Stephanie and Roy and all us taxpayers, because even though it's in Portland, those are federal court buildings. Right. So guess who pays to rebuild them all? Everybody, every tax-paying citizen in the United States of America. So you, I, and everybody else in the 57 states, as Obama said, have an interest in that aspect of Portland, Oregon, because that money to fix those buildings or relocate or whatever is coming out of our pocket. So I said, fine, if that's what it's going to be, but in the future, if we rebuild them, and they get torched, burnt by that, it's going to be on the entity of that. What Grants Pass, Oregon will now have to fund the rebuilding of a new courthouse in wherever, Beaver Dam, Oregon, or wherever we're moving it the next time, because we're not, if you're going to, you know, because you never know.
Why can't they make the people that destroy it?
Because the people that destroy it got no money to pay it.
Yo. I know they don't have money to pay it, but you put their little butts to work and make them do it anyways.
Yeah,
if you wanted, like,
we could bring back the chain gangs.
If they're but if they're gonna act like a child and go and throw this little fit and destroy things, they need to go clean up their mess.
No, you had a great idea. Let's bring back the chain gangs. That's how we built the old railroad system. You know, we took the prison labor out there and had them lay railroad tracks all over. You know, we used to do that. You know, and I mean we do, but we do have some. But I mean, yeah, let's put But assign them, give them like 30 years of that, of hard labor, rebuilding all this stuff, or we're going to put your little butt to work.
So if they're like, because I've seen a lot of people burning police vehicles, they're breaking all the windows, destroying the buildings, like you're saying. What do you get charged with for that? Because I know it's vandalism, but they should make it a degree to where it's like...
Well, let's put it this way. In the police vehicles and stuff, that's on the city of Portland residents. If they want to tolerate that, fine and dandy.
Really?
They're paying for, they're the ones that are going to have to pay for their or not pay for or defund their police or whatever the hell they're doing. That's on them. But the federal buildings are going to come directly out of yours, mine, and everybody in the United States pocket. Because we all own those, per se. We've got to, 330 million of us got to pay to refix that. That is a federal building, so all of that. So all of us in the United States have an interest in the federal buildings, no matter if they're in Portland, Oregon, or Keokuk, Iowa, or wherever, or Sarasota Springs, Florida. That directly affects you and me.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. If Portland wants to burn, or Seattle wants to burn their city to the ground, or do whatever on that whole stuff, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with saying, hey, let them do it, but on the flip side, on these federal buildings, and I'm okay if they do burn them down and when we move them and we rebuild them, the new community is going to put an insurance policy performance bond on there. So if this happens 20 years in the future and their area turns ding-dongy like these others, it's not going to cost you and me.
David writes in they should be charged with a federal crimes. I totally agree with that.
I would all be for bringing back the chain gangs on this, but this is Attorney General Bill Barr was at the congressional hearings, and Jerry Two-Face Nadler was up there running the hearings, and they're trying to do that. They're trying to defend the Seattle, Portland, Minnesota police, everybody, systemic racism, and Trump shouldn't be in there. They're mistreating the people busting them and anything else. This is what Bill Barr, Attorney General of the United States of America, had to say at the congressional hearings today.
Finally, I want to address a different breakdown in the rule of law that we've witnessed over the past 2 months. In the wake of George Floyd's death, violent rioters and anarchists have hijacked legitimate protests to wreak senseless havoc and destruction on innocent victims. The current situation in Portland is a telling example. Every night.
Okay, I just want to say, notice, now take more notice of what goes on when you hear this. You're going to hear, peaceful protest turns violent.
That drives me insane when it's.
Thank you.
Ugh. Never peaceful.
Oh, there was a peaceful protest broke out, but later
there
on
was a peaceful protest, and they lit the cop's
Yes.
car on fire. Were breaking it with skateboards, kicking it, taking the door, and pushing it back. But it was peaceful.
And we go back to the Black Lives Matter and all these organizations. Yes.
Totally what I do on the inside.
Yes. Of that and all that. And they've said we're going to do whatever means it takes to take over this country. Short story on this stuff. And that's what we're talking about. But look at the lexicon on that. Go back and look at the days, and maybe hopefully we'll get Mason Weaver. He was part of the Black Panthers back in the 60s when we had the riots in South Central LA and all the other stuff going on in turmoil, stuff that, I was a kid and that's what I grew up on, of that stuff. There was we're going to get it was law enforcement, government versus them. We're going to stop this stuff. Whether it was Bernadette Dorn and Will Ayers with the Weather Underground, bombing stuff and all the other stuff, the Black Panthers and everything else. You didn't hear it start off, peaceful protests broke out, we're going on. And then the violence started. They're burning down half of LA of the deal.
Right.
No, it was these radical terrorists are out there, and I'm going to say this, and I said it. They should declare Black Lives Matters and all these other organizations, sub-organizations, terrorist organizations. And we should be going under them on the RICO Act and whatever on this stuff. Here's more Bill Barr at the congressional hearings.
For the past 2 months, a mob of hundreds of rioters have laid siege to the federal courthouse and other nearby federal property. The rioters have come equipped for fight, armed with powerful slingshots, tasers, sledgehammers, saws, knives, rifles, and explosive devices. Inside the courthouse are a relatively small number of federal law enforcement personnel charged with a defensive mission to protect the courthouse.
That's what they're there. They are federal buildings of that. And until we get this thing straightened out, like I said, I'm all for Richard Ryder's concept of that. Let them burn. But in the future, when we rebuild them in another area, because we're not rebuilding them in Portland, where this is already chaotic, that we are the people of the United States of America are not going to be held liable for rebuilding buildings when the local law enforcement is letting this go.
I mean, they shouldn't be. I see your point, too. But then at the same time, to put your local law enforcement out there in danger, I can see why they didn't.
No, they back law. That is the federal agents. The federal agents that are in there are the only ones defending him. Portland's pulled all the local police off.
I know, and I can see why they did.
For what? No, they should. The local Portland police should be the ones that are stopping this crap. They should, like they didn't do.
Yeah, but they're, I don't know.
The Portland Police Department should have been busting them like they did in Seattle or anywhere else on that, and New York City and Minneapolis and anywhere else. They should have stopped the riots cold in their tracks right off that. You're not going to destroy property. What is day 61 or more than 2 months they've been occupying Portland, and they're still letting
Amy
this
wants
stuff
tacos now. Where's our tacos at? Tell Amy you're sorry.
I thought you were bringing them. More
what unfolds nightly around the courthouse cannot reasonably be called protest. It is, by any objective measure, an assault on the government of the United States.
Stop right there. Again, he said it. There is no such that. This is not peaceful protest, but they're trying to run that whole gamut of that, the whole peaceful protest rhetoric going on of that, and trying to shape it. Like I said, they're trying to shape the narrative on this stuff. Here's more of Bill Barr. Oh, they ended Bill Barr.
That's the end of it.
Of that. No, they had a commercial come up on that. But no, it's absolutely chaotic of what goes on this whole stuff.
It's heartbreaking. It's not chaotic. It's heartbreaking.
Yes.
That is what the world has come to.
Because
but what makes me more sad is that's what people's minds now think, that other people are going to hear you. Like, we just see you destroying stuff. That's all I see. I see you as a punk that needs to be locked up.
Yes.
I don't see you with anyone that deserves respect.
That's what they're mad about. They arrested in federal, because they're attacking federal buildings. What they arrested 70 of them. The federal troops arrested 70 of those criminals destroying public property, and that's what we have. Congress, Jerry Nadler, Adam Schiff from down here, whatever of that in Congress backing Portland's play. How freaking insane is that? They've got Barr up there. They put him on, and that's what they said. Would you stop peaceful protests and all that? He said, these are not peaceful freaking protests, you morons. He didn't say it that, but that's what he should have said. And that's a whole other thing. Everybody gets upset because Trump says stuff like that, tells it the way it is, and people get upset at me because I used to say stuff like that, or tell people to tell it really how it is, and that's what you should be. If you're a moron, I don't care if you're sitting up in Congress, or you're the ones in the dominant media, or PMS, NBC, or whatever the hell the damn network is.
You should say PMS.
On that, yes. And on that, saying peaceful protests on this stuff? No, you are lying to the people. There is no intention about that. There's no peaceful protest. We had it yesterday when we played the clip of Black Lives Matter and organizing the one down in L.A. We're supporting that. We played you all the clips. They're telling you that they are a Marxist organization. They're out to take over the world. They're out to destroy the family unit in this country. There is no part of that that is not clear. So they are not peaceful protests. They are violent protests by people who are out to destroy the United States of America as we know it today.
Can we talk about something else now? Carla writes in that she misses you talking about racing.
Well, then...
We're not going to be talking about racing because nobody else wants to hear Roy talk about it.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
We
They
just
probably
had
all
the
do.
deal. Flip the screen.
See, Carla, I got you, girl.
Longtime listener and good friend of mine, Scott DeForge, put it up there. Come on, let's go to Orange Show Speedway, back to racing. And that's what's happening at Orange Show Speedway on the 1st. If we can get the schedule up there, if I had it up here somewhere on that. Yes, here's the one. On August 1st, here you go. Racing returns to Orange Show Speedway this Saturday night on that. They got a full card coming up, late models, the pony stocks, the whole enchilada coming up. So, yeah, the second track is opening up in Southern California on the deal that we're coming up on that. It'll be starting on that. So Orange Show again. No, I don't think they're going to allow fans in the stands on the whole deal, but they are going to at least it's a start of watch the at least something's happening. Like I said. Even in Southern California, it's going to be the racers that are going to save us out of this deal. Because as we pointed out many times across speedways in Iowa, Pennsylvania, Ohio, they've been running short tracks all over the country with 2,000 to 5,000 fans. There's no outbreak of coronavirus coming on in these areas or anything like the whole enchilada is going on. So in any case, with coronavirus, and hopefully we'll have Kelly Victory on at the bottom of the hour, coronavirus is going to do, like every other virus, is going to do what they're going to do. Whether you do this, that, you might be able to bend the curve and do that, but you're not stopping it.
No more of the corona and the Black Lives Matter. I'm tired of hearing about it. If you go on one of the very well-known racers at Paris Auto Speedway, Jesse Gordon,
And
had-
Orange Show Speedway. He runs the figure eights over there, too.
thank you for throwing that in. He put out there back in, when was that? Adam Devine and his little
That was
sidekick
last September, October, I think, at Paris Night of Destruction at Paris Auto Speedway.
were out at Paris Auto Speedway, and it's on Quibi. Am I saying that right? Anyways, go and download it, and it's The Bad Ideas with Adam Devine, and you can watch where they were out at Paris Auto Speedway, and you can see some of the action they did while they were out there. It's finally aired.
There you go. They finally got her
Y'all
done.
are locked up. You got nothing else to do, so go and download the app today and check it out. You
Hey.
might see yours truly in there.
Yeah, there you go.
What?
Yeah, they were filming all. Yeah, they had film crews. That was the first time you ever attended a drivers' meeting, I think, too.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yes, they're interesting. What's,
Sita's bringing us tacos. Thank you.
There you go.
She did it virtually, but she still brought us tacos. At least someone fell through with what they, or came through with what they said. Unlike some people I know. Thanks,
Wow.
Sita. I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
Where are my tacos?
Oh,
I did
Can
say
you
right.
even
Thanks,
get them
David.
anymore?
Yes.
I mean, and again, it's a hassle to get a freaking taco.
It's not a hassle. You just got to put your face mask on.
What did I say? It's a hassle. They're making our lives miserable in this whole thing.
Yeah, it's them doing that. Maybe. I don't know. It is annoying wearing that mask all the time, though. I'm starting to break out, too. I'm not happy about it.
And another deal, this is...
Puppy tacos.
Here's what you do.
I miss
Flip
her tacos.
up number 4. Riverside
Mr.
County Supervisor Karen Spiel tests positive for coronavirus. Of all that, and you see the mask bandit on the TV screen of there on that. Riverside County Supervisor Karen Spiegel of Corona said Friday, July 24th, that she has tested positive for the novel coronavirus and was recovering. Spiegel, 62, said she received the test result Tuesday, July 21st, and experienced minor symptoms of fever and fatigue. Fever's gone, but I'm still tired and unfortunate. Spiegel said she contracted the virus after completing a 14-day quarantine period in response to the disclosure in late June that several workers in Riverside County Administrative Center had downtown. So she didn't get it from the working at the county building where they had it quarantined. It appears from this. In the newsletter, she said she may have gotten it from people within your family unit who may be asymptomatic. And the newsletter says, it urged constituents to wear face coverings, practice social distancing, and get this. None of us are immune, she said by phone, but we got to be aware or more careful. Well, who the hell of that? She says, my interactions and exposure to the world outside of my home has been very limited and restricted for the past 30 days, which demonstrates the ability to contract the virus from people within your family unit who may be asymptomatic.
What?
Yes. Oh, you're saying before, and Karen Spiegel was the one when they first put it on they were gonna take the restrictions off that Cameron Kaiser, the health official, put on. Then they backtracked. Then we had to go through a week of hearings, the marathon hearings. We opened it up. Then everybody got scared because it's Armageddon's coming. We're all gonna die of coronavirus. They shut everything down. Karen Spiegel. Everything, hardly any contact, yada, 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 and she comes down with it. So, again, the anecdotal evidence is showing if this virus is going to spread no matter what you do. You can be locked down in a hermetically sealed bubble, not having any contact with hardly anybody, and you're going to get it. You can be happy-go-lucky, living your life, as a normal, everyday human being of free will should be doing, and you have just probably about as much odds of getting it as not getting it, or suffering, maybe not that, or suffering any ill effects from this thing.
Carla writes in, I've learned you can be so careful and still get it, because Carla did.
Exactly. I've never heard
well.
that.
She also makes tacos and salsa. Carla, where's our tacos?
Yes, Carla.
I'm going to be talking about tacos this entire show.
Yes, Carla, where's our tacos? Carla failed. I ordered tacos from Carla.
Oh,
but
Carla failed to bring him.
Carla's
Woo,
probably
you got ratted out, girl.
Yes, Carla's now mad at me on that. I'm just kidding.
She's always mad at you.
Yes, I know. That's why I am not losing anything by saying that because yes.
Wow. Oh, we love you, Carla.
Yes, we're just having a little fun at your expense on that.
Thanks for letting us borrow you for our show.
Here's another, and I want to get to this one, and we got a few minutes before we bring Kelly Victory on. This is in the National Review, pretty upstanding publication of that. Sanders' campaign co-chair compares endorsing Biden to eating a bowl of sheet. They spell out, though they put a word in there, but those of you can see
You
it.
want me to say it?
No,
okay.
Please don't. Of that. On the deal of that, but no, even the campaign chair, one of those that was
No, you got to add on it.
That was on that, on that, but no, it was kind of a endorsing Joe Biden for president would be like eating a bowl of sheet. Bernie Sanders' campaign co-chair Nina Turner commented in an article that appeared in Atlantic on Monday. The Biden campaign has attempted to reach out to Sanders supporters since the former vice president and took commanding the lead in the Democratic primaries. While many Sanders supporters have backed Biden, some progressive made it clear that they're disappointed in having to vote for a more centrist candidate. So this is two things. You're hearing a lot of polls right now on that, and less than 100 days of the president. Usually in this year, we're hearing that's the only thing that's on the news is the presidential campaign. It's
that's coming up?
When? November,
Okay.
Of that. Two things. You're hearing all these polls now. Biden's got an 87-point lead and all that stuff. Discount that. Here's what you want to do.
How do they know that?
The
people get polled, but I've never met anybody that's ever been polled.
Oh, I get polled all the time because I answer the phone. But most people don't answer it, so you get like it on the deal. But that's a study. No, they do that. No, polls right now in the presidential are meant to shape the election, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get.
But I don't get why they can't. What?
So
he fingered me. Wow.
Wow.
I hear it now. I hear it. Anyway. And I wonder why.
What a way to stop that show.
Moving on. Me.
Of that.
Correction, silenced me.
No, you want to look at and this is why I brought this up. Joe Biden, you're going to hear this. The enthusiastic index on that, people that would walk across coals to vote for Biden is way down. It's plus 20 for Trump. So the Trump supporters right now are going to go through hell or high water to vote. This is showing you as the progressives, the Biden, the Pocahontas supporters and all that are not red hot on Joe Biden. Not only for another reason, but this is, if we ever do get to a presidential campaign on this whole thing, hopefully on that, and there was an editorial put up in the Press Enterprise here on that the other day of that Joe Biden said, and this is what we should be talking about. Joe Biden has said if he is elected president, he will put in an executive order mandating masks be worn across the United States. If that doesn't make you quiver...
Why? What?
Of that, yes. That is like totally under the radar screen right now of that.
But you know what? I think a lot of people would be happy about that. I think a lot of people want others to wear masks and all that. But then again, I go back to...
Of that.
I can't wear a mask. I hyperventilate. Like, I really do. I'm not saying that to be funny or like sarcastic. I really do. But what happened to people's freedom? Like, now you're going to say you have to wear a freaking mask? I don't want to.
Exactly.
I don't want to make my kids wear a mask.
Just get to this point. The quickest Joe Biden could be sworn in as president would be January 20th, 2021. Over 6 months from right now. And just think of that. Wait. Huh? There should be no matter what, there should be no coronavirus going around at all in 6 months of all this stuff. If we, or whatever, even if there is nothing after 6 months use of, or almost a year of masks and lockdowns and everything else, you're going to still mandate it. I mean, go back to the definition of insanity. We're going to do the same thing over and over again and hope for a different result. It's obvious that doesn't work, but he's saying he's going to put a mandate that everybody's going to wear masks across the United States as an executive order. Like you said, it's absolutely amazing, and I mean this in the very great way. Like I love your first reaction. What about people's freedom?
Right.
Of this stuff? It's enough to drive. Not that we're getting drove insane as it is already. This will drive you over the freaking cliff. Across if we let this stuff go each and every day on the whole deal. But yeah, I mean. So what I'm saying is, don't get all disjointed or worry about
Ooh, Carla.
Carla
wrote Biden 2020. I just think wear a mask at the stores, that it's not going to go for a walk alone.
I don't care, Carla. If you want to wear a mask 24/7, 365,
I love you, Carla.
Knock yourself out. Just don't tell me what to do. I'm not saying you of that. And if, as they're saying, no, the mask protects you from getting the virus, then what difference does it make if I wear one or not? Because if you with your mask on, you're in this hermetically sealed bubble that you're never going to get it. Go ask Karen Spiegel how this works.
You know what I appreciate, Carla. I appreciate Carla always putting her opinion out there. Even if we disagree, I love it.
Yeah, and again,
we love you, Carla.
Yeah, Carla. If you believe all the studies, the mask protects you. So why are you worried about Roy with no mask on? Because the mask is going to magically protect you, as we hear now. When it wasn't 3 or 4 months ago, it wasn't. Now it's protecting you and all this other stuff. So with that information,
I think that it does bring comfort to a lot of people, though, which that's great if it brings comfort to you. But I don't want to be told I have to wear it.
Correct.
Especially when it's hot. Ugh.
Or anytime. I don't care if it's well, it might make a little sense in the freezing cold. Keep your nose warm, but I mean, other than that. But yeah, again, I'm not telling you can't wear one. Why should you be telling me, now with the new evidence out there,
1 minute,
that you are protected with wearing your mask?
Hi, Sean. Hi, Sean.
Hey, Stephanie.
Oh, there he is.
Come back with that quick, because it's that way. Because
Stacey,
I have to stay in dead silence until you respond.
Stacy writes in, why are we all being lied to about everything?
Yes, Stacy's on it. Must be something about that S. You're starting to catch on to this stuff, too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
30 seconds.
Of that.
Wow.
Well, I guess from your other comment, though, you seem to be in a pretty good mood. Maybe.
I'm just excited for Thursday. I'm just kidding. What other comment?
Boy, if you knew the inside story of that, you'd be able to put all this together.
Today, IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the radio station.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday at 5:30 on the Mighty Bet 1490 KMET, broadcasting all across the Inland Empire on a
Taco Tuesday.
On that, and Carla forgot to bring the tacos on there. I'm just kidding.
Thanks, Carla. She dropped the ball. Carla does write in, okay, but what if one wears one in public and the loved ones only believe 20% of things now?
Well, we'll
trying
ask
to get your comment.
we'll ask Dr. Kelly Victory about that when we hopefully we'll have her on in a minute, and we'll give you the expert opinion on.
I love Dr. Kelly. She tells it like it is. She
Yes.
takes the fear out of it. And she's honest. Like you feel like she's just genuine.
Yes,
She's great.
I
I wish she was my co-host. No, I'm just kidding. I love my co-host. That was mean.
Yeah. Wow, at least finally got her. Yeah, just think if Dr. Kelly was your coach, you wouldn't be able to get to use the beating stick.
True, because I'd never hit her.
Yes. Unlike me, which one day you're going to break that thing. What are you going to do? We're going to have to make more tinfoil hats so you'll
Yeah.
get another
It's just
replacement
cardboard. I
of
can find more.
the
I gotta decorate it.
Actually, that's a pretty stiff one for
It
that
is, it
on
hurts,
the
too.
tinfoil.
Ooh, yeah, damn, that does hurt. And I hit you with that?
Yes.
You just sit there and take it? What the hell's wrong with you?
Well, people have been asking that question for a long time, going back and forth on that. Did you punch the button in there on that? Hopefully, we have our longtime guests that we've had since this whole nightmare of COVID-19 coronavirus started going up on that. And I'm going to ask the question here in a second of that. But welcome to the show, Dr. Kelly Victory. You're on IE Newswire Daily with Stephanie and Roy.
Hey, guys. Great to be back.
I get this question. And I asked it earlier. Somebody said, well, why, what about the whole mask and things? And, we went on the whole mask thing. It started out, the general public shouldn't wear masks. They're not going to do anything to, well, if you wear a mask, it might protect you from spreading it. To now, it's protecting you and everything, and you're living. If you wear a mask, you're now living in this hermetically sealed bubble. Nothing will ever happen to you. So, with this new scenario and new studies that masks are the big all protect all, then why would anybody worry about who is concerned about this and is wearing a mask? Why are you worried about Roy not wearing one? Because now you are protected by wearing a mask.
Well, this whole mask thing has been probably the most divisive issue of all the other divisive issues in this pandemic response, Roy. I believe here's the reality. When we look at the actual science, when we look at non-pharmaceutical interventions to mitigate the spread of a disease, and what I mean by non-pharmaceutical, what I mean is things like social distancing, mask wearing, wiping down of surfaces and disinfecting them, respiratory etiquette, which is, the term for sneezing into the crook of your arm rather than spewing it across the room. When we look at those things, they all sound in principle or in theory as if they should work to stop the spread of a respiratory virus. But it turns out that when we actually look at the studies on this, and the studies are primarily using influenza because COVID-19 hasn't been around long enough, but let's face it, influenza is spread in essentially the same way. It's a respiratory virus spread through respiratory droplets. And so when we look at, what is the impact of wearing a mask, hand washing constantly, wiping down surfaces, those sorts of things, we find that it doesn't really have any significant impact at all. And there are now meta-analyses of, huge groups of studies that over the years have looked at this. And we know that, unfortunately, we simply aren't able to stop the spread of these viruses the way that we think we are. When you look at masks themselves, the studies at best are inconclusive. They certainly do not come to the conclusion that the vast majority of the public, the healthy public, should be out there wearing masks. And the question I get all the time is, well, if masks don't work, Dr. Victory, then why do doctors wear them? And I say, okay, here, I'll tell you the truth. Here's why surgeons wear masks in the operating room. Number one, I wear them to protect myself from inadvertently getting splashed by either blood or some other bodily fluid that might come my way in the operating room, and to prevent me from inadvertently spitting, sneezing, or coughing into an open wound. That's it. I certainly am not wearing a mask to keep from spreading my cold or my strep throat or my other respiratory virus to the patient, or to stop from getting that virus spread to me from the patient. That's not why we wear masks. They really are meant as essentially barriers to large droplets getting spit into a wound. That's the reality. So the idea, and furthermore, I would tell you that those masks are meant to be worn in a sterile environment. Operating rooms are devoid of things like dust, pollen, other environmental particulate things that very, very quickly would clog up a surgical mask in about 20 minutes. You're not meant to wear a mask all day long, surgical mask, all day long out in the open air where there's dust and pollen and all sorts of other stuff floating around. Wear it all day, take it off, put it in the center console of your car, put it on the next day and the next day and the next day, or fish it out from the bottom of your purse. And let's face it, that's what all of us are doing right now. But it defies science, and it isn't based on anything that's scientific.
That's what I've said, and I didn't get a chance to send it to you, but there's a new study out, I think University of Florida or something, about the masks and all that stuff, and it's showing you just sneeze regularly, and they're saying it goes out 12 feet and circulates in the air, but they got the mask on, and they said, well, it's not going forward only 2.5 feet. But if you look at the droplets on the infrared camera coming up, they're shooting straight up in the air, coming up through the mask and stuff like that. And then they go on to explain, as I read it, that when you sneeze normally, they float out there, but then they hit to the ground, and then they're less dangerous. With the mask on, I'm thinking, why aren't they mentioning, because now it's shooting straight up into the air, it's going to linger longer up there and come out and potentially affect more people, because now it's a big cloud coming up way above you and then filtering. If it floats in the air 4 hours and stuff, it's going to be longer. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you are correct. You are absolutely correct that the masks don't work, and that's my point. When we look at the studies on influenza, they simply are not as good at preventing the spread as we'd like to think they are. More importantly than any of this, though, before we get caught in the weeds on all this stuff and do, studies on and on and on about how far respiratory droplets will spread when you're wearing a mask or what kind of mask is, for the love of God, Roy, we're not talking about smallpox here. We're talking about a virus for which 85% of people will have few, if any, symptoms whatsoever. Okay, we're talking about a virus that we know the population that's likely to become significantly ill if they do contract the virus. We know so much about COVID-19, yet we are acting as if we are trying desperately to stop the spread of this deadly thing. And although I'm the first to admit the virus is very real, it's not a hoax. We know those folks. And if I were an 85-year-old person in a nursing home, I would think if I get COVID-19, there's a reasonably good chance I could get pretty darn sick and may not survive it. Okay? But the vast population that's out there walking around right now with masks on, the 2- and 3-year-old toddlers walking through the grocery store, it breaks my heart. Because not only is it not medically necessary, not only is it not based on a shred of science that kids should be wearing masks, let alone adults who are healthy, but there's a really negative impact to all of this. There's a dehumanization. There's the fact that, we are looking at people in grocery stores with a degree of skepticism and suspicion that we never had, because you can't tell if someone's smiling at you or smirking at you or sneering at you.
Or even who it is.
Yeah, you have no clue. And frankly, I think this is sort of a sick study that we're doing. Who knows what the long-term impact will be on kids who are, growing up right now. They're in their formative years. They are going out in public, and other than their parents or their siblings who they might see at home without a mask on, they are just sort of going out and interacting with this sea of faceless beings out there. It's sort of a scary, scary proposition, if you ask me.
No, I agree with you completely. Sometimes it's kind of a little spooky of who's talking to you because you don't know who is behind that mask. We have a comment come in, and I know we've talked about it a couple times, but I want to bring it up because he talked about it the other day as well. He wants to know, Stephen writes in, is commercial air conditioning the new cause of spreading the virus? And is it better to be working in a room with stagnant air opposed to circulating mixed fresh air?
Well, it's a great question. One of the things I think that is contributing just to the lingering element of the virus is that people are hanging out in air conditioning because in lots of parts of the country right now it's hotter than Hades. So places like Florida and Arizona, and when we look at the uptick, the quote uptick in cases, it's because a lot of those folks are spending the bulk of their days in air-conditioned places where the virus actually can do better in those areas than it would if you're outside. Now, I'm in Colorado right now, where the ambient temperatures have been in the 90s. It's extraordinarily dry. And those are conditions that simply aren't hospitable to this virus. So I think if people are able to open their windows, let fresh air in, let a little heat in, get a little sunshine on the issue, get out there in the sunshine, I think we will cut down on viral spread. But all of that said, I think we have to keep bringing it back to that point of we are talking about a virus that for the vast majority of the public is really a very, very mild one. It isn't going to go away. We are not going to eradicate COVID-19. So when I hear things like, I just heard yesterday in California, one of the demands from the teachers union was that they said, well, we'll go back, consider going back to school as soon as we have a 14-day period with no new cases. And I thought, no new cases? Who ever talked about, we never talked about eradicating this virus. COVID-19 is going to be around. We didn't talk about eradicating it. We've only eradicated a handful of viruses in the history of medicine, smallpox being one of them. But we aren't going to eradicate COVID-19 any more than we eradicate any other coronavirus, the common cold, Coxsackie virus, norovirus, all these other viruses that are out there. We learn to deal with them. People will develop some element of immunity over time, and we need to continue to identify and protect people who are at particular risk. But it's high time now to kind of get back to living our normal lives, dispense with all of these mitigation efforts that frankly don't work, masks, social distancing, disinfecting tabletops and chair legs, and all sorts of other silliness that people are engaged in, and that aren't just inconveniences. They cost tremendous amounts. I mean, I feel for the small businesses that have, taken time and money and resources to install plexiglass shields and stickers on the floor and all sorts of other, stuff that isn't really doing any good at all and was unnecessary, frankly, from the beginning.
I want to do that, and just so Stephen's clear, I don't care if like Kelly said, it lives better in an air conditioning environment. I'm not advocating not doing that if you like it. I don't like air conditioning. I like outside. I like the heat, cold, whatever. Fine. But of what you're doing, it's not a bad thing. All of it. And like I keep saying, don't stop living your life because the CDC comes out with a study letter that says air conditioning is a possible spread of this and why it's going in da-da-da-da-da. That's just perpetuating the madness of what's going on. What we should be saying is not no, but hell no with all this stuff.
Yeah, let me be clear to Stephen's questions. Absolutely. I wasn't trying to make light of it at all. I'm saying that it may well be part of the reason we are seeing, quote, an increase in cases. And as anyone who's listened to me on your show before knows, Roy, I believe that the case number is absolutely irrelevant.
Yes.
Because the vast majority of the people being tested are asymptomatic in the first place. But I think part of the reason we may be seeing sort of this virus lingering in the summer when we otherwise wouldn't is because of air conditioning. That was only my point, is that if everyone turned their air conditioning off, which I am not suggesting, then we might see, a decrease in total virus load out there, because there's no question that the hot temperatures, dry weather, and sunshine are not hospitable environments for COVID-19.
And that's what, like with Stephen, that's what I mean. They're using this as to try and turn it, in my view, into another tool to try and use this and turn this into a negative or make you fear coronavirus.
And also, they probably want people to stop using their air conditioning because now electricity rates are going to go up, and then all that's going to start happening.
And I heard the global warming thing, too.
Oh, God.
Yes. The insanity just never stops on that, and that's my point about it all is, don't, just because they're saying that and they're making that, and then the teachers union say, well, we're not going back to school because the air conditioning's going to recirculate.
But
this,
you know what?
It
makes sense with the air recirculating constantly. I mean, I get it, but I don't think that would be a cause for any spread. And I mean,
well, and what you have to, Stephanie, what we have to keep reminding people is there's a reason that we have not succumbed as a population to every virus or outbreak of different infectious diseases that have come along throughout the millennium.
Right.
Do people really believe that COVID-19 is this first ever in our lifetimes unbelievably lethal virus that, oh my God, we need to do something about this? We had H1N1 in 2009, every bit as lethal, if not significantly more than COVID-19.
Right.
We had SARS in 2003, undeniably more lethal than COVID-19. We had outbreaks in the 60s, outbreaks in 1957. You can go back through, and we have never, ever in our history done these sorts of things. Back in 2009, somehow we all survived without anyone donning a mask, without shutting down a business, without shutting down schools, without even launching the fake term social distancing. So somehow we've survived. So what I ask people to do is I say, whoa, just take a step back. What do you think COVID-19? It's a coronavirus. It's in the same class of viruses as the common cold. Yes, there are some people who can become very ill with this and die from it, and we know they have. But upwards of 50% of the people who have died from COVID-19 have been in their 80s, okay? So does that make it less tragic? No, we still mourn the loss of those people. But the reality is, and the tough talk from a physician to the public is, those people had a high likelihood of dying this year from something else anyway. That's the reality. And so when we look back at this year, the total number of deaths, not from COVID, the total number of deaths in the United States from January 1, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, and we compare it to the total number of deaths that we have as Americans from all causes on every other year, the delta, the difference, the number of excess deaths this year is going to be minimal, because many of the people who died of COVID would have died from influenza or pneumonia or their diabetes or heart disease or their advanced age or any number of other things that would have killed them. And that's the sad reality. And so I am guessing, although they're counting the number of quote-unquote COVID deaths at somewhere over 140,000, mark my words, when you look at the total number of Americans who died this year versus the average in every other year, the number will be probably somewhere in the 20 to 30,000 range.
And Steve, this is what my point is. They're driving you crazy changing air conditioning filters and everything else for this, and for something that was inevitably going to happen anyway, no matter what you do. What we should be against is the disinformation campaign, as Kelly started off with the whole thing about masks going on, doing this and making excuses for doing X, Y, and Z and taking away our freedoms. And as Joe Biden says it, this is what drives me crazy. We talked about it earlier. Joe Biden said, if I get in, and the earliest he can get in is January 20th, 2021. As soon as I get in, I'm signing executive order mandating masks across the whole United States. And we're not even talking about it.
Right. And this is, it is pure insanity. It defies logic. It defies the science. It is fomenting fear where we need not do that. And my biggest concern, truly, at the end of all of this, is that if you do this for COVID-19,
yes.
What do you really expect people to respond to when the big bad one actually comes along? You know, my parents used to say when I was a child, they'd say, if we lose it and you get grounded and we get absolutely upset about every little thing you do, then what are we going to do when the big thing happens? When you've done something that really crosses the line, when you go to use drugs or do something that we really think that we want you to listen to. And it's the same thing. We cannot cause people to take these draconian measures, destroy people's livelihoods, have profound negative impact on children who may never really catch up from this. I mean, the statistics on kids right now are terrifying. They're predicting that kids right now are somewhere between 30 and 35% delayed in their reading and English skills and 50% behind in math skills.
Wow.
And those numbers are even higher in minority communities. So Black and Latino kids are considered to be even further behind. That's if they went back to school at the end of August. Okay, they're already that far behind, let alone the profound psychosocial element, the fact that we've seen 30% decrease in reports of child abuse and neglect since this pandemic started. And I'm here to tell you, that's not because child abuse and neglect aren't happening with kids locked at home with their parents for months on end, parents who are commonly out of work themselves, are frustrated, are having trouble making ends meet. It's because those kids aren't in school, and that's where child abuse and neglect primarily gets picked up and reported. So those cases aren't being reported because those kids aren't coming in contact with the football coach and the math teacher and the social studies teacher. We're seeing decreases in reports of vision and hearing problems in kids, not because kids don't have hearing and vision problems. It's because teachers are the ones who pick that up and report it, not parents. So, I mean, there are significant impacts that we may never make up for. And as I said, if you do this for COVID-19, what, God help us, are you going to do when really the big bad thing comes along?
Exactly.
It is, and my hope is that all 330 million Americans and 7 billion people across the world would just hear and listen to what we just discussed now. I think it would totally change the dynamic of what's going on. That. Thank you again for shedding the real truth, facts, not fear, on this whole thing.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly, for taking your time to come on with us.
Always enjoyed you guys. Happy to do it, and hopefully people will calm down and realize it's a real virus, but most people are not at significant risk. We got to get back to it.
Amen. We'll do it again soon.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.
Again, I mean, I really mean that. I wish this was the discussions that were in the lexicon of what we were discussing instead of air conditioning is going to kill you. No, you're using it as an
Don't piss off Stephen again, please.
You're using it, but see how they use these tools to manipulate you into that. There's nothing to fear about air conditioning or anything else on this thing.
Right.
And that's what we should be talking about instead of using that as what we're doing. That's what drives me absolutely insane about that. Not that I care about, air conditioning doesn't work for me. I realize I'm like 0.1% of the population. Yes, nuts and everything else. So, but same thing. Don't bother me. If I don't want to run with air conditioning, that's fine. If you want to go into air conditioning and that works for you, knock yourself out. Same with the mask. If masks work for you, knock yourself out. But they don't work for me. I ultimately think they're going to do more harm ultimately than good. So we can all agree to disagree or whatever.
With you, Stephen. I agree with you completely. But I don't know why you don't like air conditioning. That I just disagree with you on.
I don't know either, but it like I say, it starts off, it gives me a headache and just makes me feel ill. Now, swamp cooler, I'm fine with. I think it's part of the dry air. The dryness of the air. Something affects me on that, and
Maybe Steven can come out and help you out with what's going on with your air. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's your air conditioner.
Well, no, it's everybody's. It doesn't matter if I walk into a commercial.
Steven wants to know, what do you think they're going to come up with next? Before you answer that, I want to give my baby boy a shout out, which his birthday's tomorrow. He's turning 5. But I also noticed Kevin Green, one of our regulars, his birthday's coming up.
Yes, Kevin.
Happy birthday tomorrow, Kevin.
Happy birthday, Kevin, and Kian and everybody else on the.
What do you think they're going to come up with next? If it's not air conditioning,
oh, they'll have
the
something.
seats.
Yes.
What about the seats? We didn't
forgot to
talk
do
about
the
that.
damn
Dang it! It's in the seats.
Yes,
You're going to plant it in your
yeah,
yard.
That story's going on all across everywhere. These
tinfoil hat
Chinese seats. Yes, well, remind us to cover that tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then,
we're gone. Ah.